focused all the time on the job at hand.
Thank you very much. Let me just turn to Peter Bone now. So we had a party. The Prime Minister may have only stayed 10 minutes. We know his wife was at the party. We know they sang Happy Birthday. It was against the rules to have communal singing at that time, you will remember. This is bang to rights.
Well, it's a very funny party that less than 10 minutes with colleagues you work with all the time. People broke off, I understand, from work, went to see the Prime Minister, gave him a cake, and then went back to work. And I bet, you know what political people are like, they probably talked about work when they were eating their bit of cake.
Hang on, there was a celebration, whatever, there was a celebration in Downing Street, which Downing Street doesn't deny, for the Prime Minister's birthday. That was on the 19th of June. On June the 13th, the Queen celebrated her birthday without any family members present. Shouldn't he apologise to Her Majesty again?
I don't think so, because I don't recognise this as a party. Well, look, maybe it's not what I think, it's what my constituents think. So we had a team of 8 people out knocking on doors tonight in Wellingborough and Northamptonshire. And I asked Councillor Helen Harrison what the response was. And like it was on Saturday when I did 4 hours canvassing, and like it was on Friday when I did 2 hours, this is not an issue on the doorstep.
Well, not on your doorstep, but you would admit that many Tory MPs say that they've got a deluge of complaints about it. You maybe got a constituency that's different.
No. There's a difference between getting a deluge of emails from people who never supported Boris. The only person, when I was out on Saturday, who took offence about the Prime Minister, he was swearing words we couldn't use. And because I looked at McCammon, he'd always voted Labour all his life.
We were in a national emergency.
I'm sorry.
Peter Kyle couldn't see his grandfather for his birthday. Lots of people couldn't do the things they wanted. Do they not matter? Because the point is, you seem to be suggesting that it's OK for Boris to sort of duck and dive a little bit and have a party. But it's not OK for other people to do it.
Well, I just don't recognise that as a party, and if that's the sort of parties you go to, they're not much fun, are they? That less than 10 minutes and from work colleagues when you're talking about work and disappear again. It seems to me that the people on the doorstep want to talk about Ukraine, they want to talk about the cost of living, they want to talk about getting rid of
but they also perhaps want to talk about the fines that they had when they did something like go to their allotment.
You may wish that's what people on the doorstep, but they don't. Well, I mean, they're much more likely to talk to me about the abolition of the BBC licence fee than Boris. And when it was brought up, people rolled their eyes and said, oh, why doesn't let the media get on with doing the job? They like Boris. They realise they got him through the pandemic.
The party actually is a red herring. Hang on, the party is a red herring.
To me.
The party is a red herring. Any social gathering indoors during that time broke the rules. Any social gathering. So what you're saying is that any social gathering doesn't matter.
You are really thinking that the British people care about that. They realise that the Prime Minister got the first vaccination that saved billions of lives across the world. He took us through COVID. He nearly lost his life. He worked extremely hard for the people. All the hours and hours he worked, and you're worrying about less than 10 minutes when work colleagues brew a piece of cake.
What Sue Gray will look at and see if there's some kind of pattern. But it's not just about Sue Gray, isn't it? It's about people who couldn't go and see their relatives because they weren't allowed to. It's about people that couldn't have birthdays and even give a cake or even give someone a hug because it was against the rules. And do you see how it seems for many people that Boris Johnson could do one thing and everybody else had to do something else?
That's not the case. I mean, I listened to Peter Kyle and he said they were partying all the time in Downing Street. That is absurd and untrue. We'll have to wait to what Sue Gray says, of course. But all I can report is what my constituents are telling me in East Northamptonshire. They like the Prime Minister. They think he's doing a good job. And for goodness sake, stop going on about this in the media. That's what they're telling me, not what, that's what they're saying. I mean, I'd suggest to Peter, go out and knock on your doors for 6 hours and see what they say.
So have you knocked on doors about this, Peter Kyle?
Actually, I was out all over Sussex on Saturday. I was out in Worthing, which is a Conservative-run authority. Nobody mentioned Ukraine. Everybody was mentioning the rules. And I'll tell you this.
I don't believe you. I do not believe that everyone mentions Ukraine.
I've just listened very patiently.
I just don't believe it. Everyone, that cannot possibly be true.
It can't possibly be true. Yes, it is possible. But hang on, it can't possibly be true, what Peter Kyle saying, but it has to be true that you hadn't one complaint at all about Boris and Downing Street.
I was there. I just cannot believe that every door Peter knocked on, they brought up Boris. I'm sorry, I just don't believe that, Peter.
Peter Carr, very briefly.
Repeatedly it came up. And I'll tell you this, I was
Repeatedly,
travelling on
not
the
every
train.
door now.
I was travelling on the train just the other day. The people in front of me were talking about it. The people behind were talking about it. And the thing that is deadly is the fact that Boris Johnson has become a figure of ridicule.
Thank you.
People at home were
Really,
talking
I
about
think
going
I'm
out
afraid I'll
that
have to-
evening and having an office
Boris
party,
is doing a
talking
good
about
job.
suitcases.
Thank you
Your
both
party
very
has
much
become
indeed. Thank you very
a-
much indeed. We are now moving on to Ukraine.